What is happening, everybody? Probably nobody here yet, but we're gonna get this thing rolling. Gonna get it rolling. All right, what is up? Just giving people a little bit of time to come in. We're only on the Substack for this one. This is Coffee Shop Talk number 28, live. And it's June 22nd, 2025. Here we are. And I didn't put together anything for this, but I got you guys a little different look here. We got some percolators, we got some French presses, we got some pour overs. I don't know if I can't really put the cursor on this thing, but and then over to the left, it's an interesting seating style where it's like Indian style. So I think we got a little bit of Indian coffee too, which to me was always like you just have like a little bit of coffee grounds mixed in with coffee. I never really liked it, but some people like it. I guess I don't know if it's done in a certain way. Maybe I just don't understand, and that could very well be the case. There's a lot of things that I just do not understand, but some people love them. So let me check out what we got going on here. Welcome, Live76, Tanya S. Moss, Nancy F. One person, Becky Blaze, Kimberly Gallion, and Carl Adhoc. Welcome. Yes, good to see you all. No real agenda. I just hadn't done a coffee shop talk for a little while, and I wanted to say hi. It's been a couple days that have been a little bit rougher after what happened with my old best friend. It's like you get on Facebook and you start looking at things that you haven't seen for a while, like people and places, where I grew up and whatnot. And I got to get over like the traumatizing thing when you look back at like your hometown and you have all these bad memories of the hell that you raised there, because like that's what we did, man. We drank and we partied and we raised hell, and we were popular kids, so we got away with too much, and came out into the big bad world. And then I never really wanted to be anything. I just wanted to hide in the crowd. So people understood my anxiety and my issues with that. Going to Washington State University, I loved the classes that had, 200 to 300 people in them, because I could just go and hide. No one's going to call on me. I could put in my headphones and listen to music and then just take notes. And I still did pretty good. I was a straight A student kind of a thing in high school for the most part, 3.9 something. So I didn't know it goes above 4.0. Did you guys know this? So my niece just graduated, and apparently I think there was a kid in there. I think the highest one, and there was a bunch of them, got like a 4 point. I don't know if it's a 4.4 or a 4.3, like close to 4.4. They go above 4.0s now. That's weird. I guess it makes sense. People are doing extra credit and stuff, and maybe a better system of figuring out who's excelling and who's putting in extra work for scholarships and those kinds of things. But I had never heard of such a thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm at my niece's graduation. I'm listening to him roll this stuff out, and I'm like, What the heck? It ended at 4.0, like when I was growing up. So, anyways, it was pretty easy to get straight A's. I mean, some of the classes were hard. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's always been a kind of a thing that I always wanted to. I was always good at it, but it was mostly memorization, and then I got really good at writing. So just having the ability to be good at like grammar and writing for essay questions and for just maybe it helps your thought process learn to keep a cohesive thought pattern and transition to things in a more understandable way. Therefore, even if you're like not answering a question right, you sound you can kind of sound like you understand a little bit more. I don't know. Not saying you're tricking people, but there's something that just if I were to like math is its own freaking beast, and a lot of people just don't give a crap. I didn't give a crap even though I got through calculus. It was one of those things. As soon as I was done with calculus, I was like, "Yay! Throw it all away." I actually do like some of the algebra and stuff like that, and figure out problems. But writing and grammar is probably some of the most important. And now with a world where it's speech to text and it's all becoming digitized, like basically everybody's getting their own little digital assistant, and that's doing all the work. I don't even know if kids are learning how to write cursive, and there's something about the hand to the mind that they need to keep doing that. They need to keep teaching cursive, and I don't even know if they are because it's more like typing and learning how to use a keyboard, which is important. I think learning how to type at a decent rate is pretty important as well. But how are you guys all doing on this Sunday morning? I didn't expect a ton of people to show up. I just wanted to announce some things, say hi, and have a little coffee shop talk. You guys having your coffee and enjoying your weekend? I hope so, because this isn't going to be a real heavy one. I didn't plan on that. I have a kitten story. So our favorite, we have some like wildcats around here. People drop them off in this development area, and we have one that's our favorite. We've called her Spooky. I didn't participate in the naming of it. So I think it was my dad called her Spooky because she tends to, it's like most feral wild cats, but something must have happened to some of these cats because man, they are so scared of humans, and so it's interesting. But she's the closest one. I've almost been able to pet her, and then she was like kind of looking at me like not real evil or whatever, but looking at me like it could go either way. It could go to where she allowed me to pet her, or she could take a big old swipe at me and then I'd get a major infection and have to go to the hospital. That's how I looked at it. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to pet you. Even though you looked like she looked like she wanted to be petted. But anyways, so we had wondered and thought that maybe she had kittens somewhere. Well, she definitely does. But now we've got a little bit of a situation. And they're pretty well sized. At this point, they still are are hitting the nipples, but they are big enough to where they could probably almost make it on their own to a degree if people were there because they're not going to make it on their own by themselves here. So, anyways, here's what happened. So she showed up and it was like, oh my gosh, she's got a kitten with her, and it was interesting because she's like gray tiger striped, gray with lighter gray with darker stripes, and she's pretty. She's just a beautiful little kitty. And we got another one that looks like it's probably her sister who has bigger nips and likely has kittens somewhere as well. And they fight, but the gray one, the one that we like the most, that like when we come out and we'll bring her like fish, she'll do anything for fish, it seems. She'll just rub up on stuff and be meowing, and she's just all excited and she's putting on a show. She's being all proper and cute, and she really wants her fish. And so, anyways, it's that one, and she had a calico, like a really just like dark, orangish, reddish, like orangish, dark color to it, calico, like beautiful cat, little kitten was weaning on her, and we were like, oh my gosh, there's one, and then another one all of a sudden showed up, and we are like, whoa, and it looked more like her, and then so we just thought maybe there was two of them. Well, I go out on the front, right, the front door, right outside the front door, we have like a chair, and then next to it is this wood. Cover that my dad built for like the hose. So like the like the water hose is in there all coiled up, and then he's got a hole where we can pull it out, yada yada. And there's a lid, but it's all nice wood grained, well done craftsmanship. Well, we opened that thing up, and there was three in there. There was three kittens in there, and they're all just in there, like looking up, like oh my god, and like, and I'm like, oh, but I want to squeeze you, like little kittens, they're so cute. And one of them took off because you can get out the back way. That's how they got in, and ran towards Mama. And then I think the second one did, and then one just was in there. This one's like a lighter colored, but similar look to Mama. It's weird. They have like the one calico that's like the maybe even the runt, but completely different color style. And then these other ones that are like all clones of the mom, but they're all special little tiger stripes. Beautiful. One of them looks like one of my sister's cat that's named Peanut, with the white around the nose and stuff like that. So, anyways, the one last one was still in there in this container that holds the hose, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna like. And they all seemed like they were doing well over by where we feed the mama. Gosh. So I reached down, and this thing's just like doesn't want to move. And I pick it up, and I think everything's going fine. And then all of a sudden, like it goes from being like limp to just freaking out. And so my right hand was holding the lid, and it's pretty heavy wood. And my right hand was holding the lid. It dropped the lid, which made a loud bang. And then the cat, I wasn't trying to squeeze it or anything like that, so it came out of my hand, landed on top of the wood thing, jumped, and went running towards Mama. But while it was running towards Mama, the loud bang scared Mama, and it scared all the other cats. And the little calico cat must have been playing in one of the pots. I hope you guys are like can understand some of this stuff. I wish I could have the layout and stuff for you. I don't want to show the house and stuff like that. People know way too much about me. But so that bang scared the cats, but this calico cat must have been playing in the potted plants, and we have these yellow like plastic things that are really sticky, but it's to catch all those little gnats, all those little like fruit bugs or whatever they are. And it must have got one of those on its paw. So while that cat's trying to catch up to the rest of the bunch, this cat's running around with one of those plastic things stuck to its paw, and it's like freaking out Mama like crazy, and they all go running in one direction over to this bush that I later found that they were all hiding in this bush. But then the one lone one went around and hid behind this little thing that my dad put out there that's kind of like a little cat box where he keeps it padded in there, and Mama has slept in there at times, and it's getting really hot right now. So we had one that's hiding that doesn't know where the rest of them are at, that's just trying to stay still, but you could totally just see where it's at. And the rest of them are hiding in this bush. Well, I just tried to leave them be after all that chaos happened. And it was just like, oh, gosh. But to see that, I was like sad but funny at the same time, because that calico cat just couldn't get this thing off of its freaking paw. But it was causing so much commotion that all freaked the heck out and ran. And I finally found that it must have got it off while it was in the bush, because it's still in the bush. So I waited a while, hoping that the lone one would come over and join the group of them. But I went over and I looked in the bushes, and they were all hiding in there at one point. And then I went around there at another point, and I had been outside. I don't know how they're so sneaky, but they're gone. All of them were gone. The mama cat and all these kids were gone. But the one was still hiding all by itself. And now I wake up this morning, and my parents are saying that they've been hearing a little cat kitten meow out there. So we think that kitten ran towards mom at one point, but then went into, because we leave the garage door open sometimes on hot days to air it out, and because we're working outside and we're gardening and whatever. My dad's doing all kinds of stuff. So one of the kittens might be actually in our garage, but we can't find it. So food and water is left out, and nothing's been touched. And I don't know. What do we do? If anybody has any suggestions, what do we do? We're trying to get Mama to go in there and grab her kitten, but she never wants to go in there. It's like these cats are like, even no matter how much you do, because they're so wild, and they were either mistreated and left, or they just are so wild they don't want anything to do with like being inside of a home or something like that. Like they look at the garage and it's like they can figure out that it could be a trap. So the mama won't go in there looking for its kitten, and it might be missing one, which makes me so sad. Ah. So, anyways, I know it's a coffee shop. Well, anything goes in a coffee shop talk, right? When you're hanging out with a friend, having some coffee, it's like, "How's your day been going?" Or "What's new? What do you got?" And this is the cat story, the kitten story that I had to share with you guys. So currently, right now, Mama Cat is continuing to return. The rest of the kittens have not been with her, but the worry is that one of them, the most scared one, might be alone and somewhere hiding in the garage, and we can't find it. So we're just waiting to see if we hear any meowing again. We've left food and water out. So at some point, hopefully, it gets desperate enough to where it starts sniffing around, searching around, or calling out, and then we can find it. But maybe it's not in there. I don't know. I didn't hear it. My parents were just talking about it. So that's my coffee shop story for you guys, for the kittens. Evan, welcome. I still got to get to your DM. I did see it. I'll get to it. And we got Velvet in here. Velvet's saying they don't teach cursive up here in Canada. I've also heard they've taken the clocks out of the schools because they only know how to read a digital clock. Oh, it's so sad, man. It's so sad. Like, is everyone's life going to depend on whether or not they can write cursive? No. But I think that there is something powerful with that. I still got the little callus on my, I guess it's my right ring finger, the way that I hold my pencil. Everybody kind of holds it a little bit differently. And I still got my little callus or whatnot because it was earned, so much writing, so much cursive and stuff like that. And now the kids aren't. In what Velvet's saying, up in Canada, they're not even being taught cursive. And I've heard that. I got to ask my niece. I think she's learning cursive. The one that's still kind of at that age, right at that age where they're seeing if they're utilizing cursive. But I think it's going away because it's all going to be digital. You won't even need to write. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're not going to do something that's beneficial to the children. That's for sure. It seems like they're becoming so obvious now. So Midnight says, I was a high achiever early on, but didn't want teachers or anyone else focusing on me being a high intellect student, as I was suspicious of their actual intentions. Even back then, it is never a good thing to draw attention to one's true level of knowledge. Keep them guessing. And I did the same thing. There were like, I could, and it is one of those things, my parents expected really high things of me. And of course, I was a high achiever as well. I graduated third in my class, and my anxiety was so bad that I wanted to be third in my class so that I didn't have to give a speech at graduation. Literally, that was a goal of mine, to not have to be valedictorian or salutatorian and not have to give a speech. Like, it's so bad. I can't believe I'm even doing this anymore. Like, still, like I keep saying. I crafted my entire life around not giving speeches, not being the center of attention, never having to stand before groups and talk. I crafted a lot of my life around that. And when I avoided that in high school, so like there was like Spanish class, and I think it was just Spanish class. In Spanish class, I think I got a D because I also had two of like the worst influence friends in that class, but we had a lot of fun screwing around. But I allowed myself to get a bad grade, even though all my other grades were like 100% A's and all that kind of stuff. I had one big blemish on my record that made me a 3.95 at the end, and then I didn't have to give a speech, and I graduated third in my class, and I was so happy. Getting into college, you could choose what classes and time of day. A lot of times, if you did it early enough, you could get into certain classes. And then the ones that I had where it was small classes and you had to like do labs, like I had like chemistry class and physics class and classes like that. I would have like hundreds of kids in the actual class, but then you would have one day a week where you would go to labs that were freaking horrible, like 3 to 4 hours freaking long, and they were smaller grouped where you work with microscopes and all that kind of stuff, and yada yada yada. Anyways, I hated those classes. I'd have panic attacks and stuff like that. I hate that crap, man. But yeah, faking being dumb sometimes is a good thing, and then you find out how these elites or like the programs are set up to find the high intellectuals. It worked out great for me because we took this big time algebra test or whatever, and I was the first one to get it done, but I missed one thing, and I got one thing wrong, and then therefore the next girl that put it in got 100%, and she ended up going to this high end competition, and I was like, oh, thank God! Like I wasn't trying to mess up, but I was so thankful that I messed up on one thing because I didn't want to get sent to those things. I didn't want to get sent to the spelling bees. I didn't want to get sent to the competitions because I didn't want to stand out, and I didn't. My anxiety was just like horrible. And so I didn't want to be a part of any of those things. But now you find out that they like often take those kinds of kids and put them into programs, and it's not good, not good programs. Uh, and here we are. Yep, here we are, Velvet. Now people, now there's some people that get sick of me talking, and they wish that I would probably stop talking. Back in the day when I had my anxiety, the only time that I could not say something is when people were being bullied or I saw injustice, which is kind of why I've become what I've become, I guess, today. And sometimes I go over the top. I'm already getting into it with that Anon guy that Tofango and I destroyed his freaking too many coincidences kind of a thing for the Q thing, and he won't even acknowledge it. It's, I mean, he did a rebuttal, but it was just kind of like a joke, creatively done, and I gave him that benefit. But man, I went at it with him this morning because I'm so sick of these people thinking that all this stuff is happening and it's not. And it's like, but good news, good news, good news. I mean, I guess good news. Dustin Neimos is finally communicating with me, and tomorrow we might be doing a recording or something. I don't know yet. He is a pain in the ass to communicate with. He'll send you something, and then you respond to him, and then it could be a day. We'll see what happens. But Dustin Neimos, there's still a plan to have him on, and we'll see how that goes. And if it happens, he's asking for tomorrow, and I said, cool, whatever. You know, he wants to do it at like 5 p.m. my time, which is like right after dinner. So I'm like, can we do 5:15? Like I'll try to hurry and get out there. So we'll see. But anyways, I'm gonna try to get in with Dustin Neimos. I jumped on last night onto the Kofi, I guess it is, with Sabrina Wallace, and she was doing a live, and she said she was going to reach out to me, and she's communicating with me on Telegram. So we're going to try to get that Q&A set up. And then I've got to go to juxtapositions more. He did two recent ones. I should actually look at that right now. So I guess I'm going to be collecting. I didn't even really know that he was requesting me to be in these, and he went and did two shows, two videos. He said he meant to keep it at one, but it ended up being two. They're called Identity Crisis. So if you go to, I guess I'll just show it on the page here. I didn't plan on sharing screen in the coffee shop talks, and then or on this one, but let me show you guys because it's better to see visuals, and I do appreciate showing visuals, and that's why I like my presentation style. Anyways, this is Juxtaposition Substack. He's got some that are free that he puts out there, and so because, you know, he's got what he calls the peanut gallery. But anyways, so these are the videos. I've got to watch them because what he wants to do, like it says here, Oh, Juxta, man, you didn't even tell me about this. Well, he was talking. He was texting with me, but I didn't realize he was actually going to do some videos, and we hadn't discussed it yet. So I've got to watch both of these: Identity Crisis, a tutorial series. Um, but I guess the plan is for me to be on part three, which will be pre-recorded and released, and then we will do a part four with a live audience again. So you guys will have another opportunity to have juxtaposition live. So what I want to do today is watch these videos, and then I asked him, requested him, because it's hard to get people to click links. I am going to release these two videos also on my pages. So like Rumble and Substack, I'll release juxtaposition solo videos, part one and part two, on my pages, so that if people want to get into this, like he seems like he's doing it more like a teaching, like he wants it to be more of a teaching style, and it'll be important for people that wanna participate in this to watch all of the series. And so I'll put those in there, and then we'll try to time it out to give people time to watch those. And yeah, that's another thing that I got going on. So we got Dustin Neimos, Sabrina Wallace, Juxta, and I are going to be doing those collaborations. And man, I really felt like I had one more. I mean, we got Biscuits on Tuesday, as usual, for the Digital Dojo Variety Show, which the last one did the best numbers that we've had. And it's not always about the numbers, but I think that people are starting to understand that every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central, is the Booma and Biscuits Digital Dojo Variety Show, and we switch it up a little bit, do a different style, different intro. Last week was a little psychedelic, man. We got a little, I had a little D Hippie song kind of like flavor in there, because how can D Hippie song not be involved with the psychedelics, bro? Which D Hippie song connects back to some of my past in the little town that I grew up in, where, like I said, I spent too much time on Facebook looking at like old friends, old acquaintances, and my best friend's older brother. This is how he used to wear the hat. It was always up and to the side. But he usually had bangs and stuff like that. And then he did this bowl cut, and then he would do like blonde on the top of the bowl cut, and then his hair was darker than mine, and it would grow in. I would just think he's so cool. And then he went and took his life, and then I lost my best friend to insanity that ended horribly. But let's not get into that story anymore. But it's been a rough couple days, people, and I just wanted to share that. But we look forward to doing these collaborations. I'm going to really be interested to see how it goes with Dustin Neimos, because I just haven't. I think that he thinks that, like, because he was huge in the Q, and that's what I want to focus on. Is even though I'm so sick of this Q stuff, but I want to expose the crap out of Q, and he's at odds with the Fango. So I think what's going to happen is that I'll have a show with Dustin Neimos, and then I probably will have the Fango back on, and then I will try my best to get them both on at the same time. But that might be asking way too much, because I think that they just don't like each other. They did a show a while ago, and I watched it, and it was like, it was all right. But they don't agree. And I think Dustin Neimos thinks the Q plan's still going forward, but that it's not a good plan. You know what I mean? Like that Trump and these guys, because he thinks that Trump's the antichrist, I believe. And so he thinks that Q is still being utilized. But to me, it's like, it's not. Like, why wouldn't they be posting still? It's like they're just using little remnants of the trust the plan and stuff like that. And did you guys see? And you might not have. So here, for all the people that think that, and there's many reasons, but for people that think, I think this is no, this is it. I want to show you guys this. For people that think that Flynn doesn't play into Q, here we can go even me a little bigger because it's like this. But this is Flynn on the 20th, just a couple days ago, totally reposting, trust the plan. Nothing can stop what is coming. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. Those are three of the biggest you might even say MK Ultra phrases from the Q psyop itself. And there's other ones that Flynn has reposted and that we've caught. Anyways, I'd go back into my archives. But just recently, Michael Flynn, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, posted, and he pointed out basically all the frauds. And like, I'm not on good terms in my mental thoughts towards Donald Trump anymore. So it is what it is, because I'm really pissed off. And now we bombed these fake nuclear sites. I'm really going to be interested to see what comes out of this. I don't believe any of it. And you just bombed Iran. And then Biscuit's hope is that Israel was going to try to force the United States to get involved directly, and that Trump would bait him and not do it. Well, now I'm going to have to talk with Biscuits about this because, we definitely did. And Trump's very proud of himself. And I think it was even Tulsi Gabbard, his own intelligence lady, was saying that we have no proof that they had weapons of mass destruction. And there's no proof. And Trump says that they did. And they bombed 3 sites. Anyways, that's for another day or another show. Then we got Charlie Kirk, big old fraud. Hi, welcome y'all. It's your CIA boy Benny Johnson, Bannon, who is just like I think Isaac Kappy called him out for being part of the Black Cube, which is coming back out in more recent times. I thought I saw some more exposure of that. And then I'd really like to get Corey Daniels back on, because he had a bunch of info on some of the grifters like Juan O'Savin. He had some stuff on Juan that I'd never heard anybody else say. And he actually knew the address and real name of Gene. And I think that even if he wants to say it, I would allow him to expose that. But he had some information on people where I'm like, what the fuck? Anyways, I'd be curious to know see if he knows anything about some of these characters, but regardless and whatnot, I'll see if I can do like a show with him. He seems to do kind of like those long. It's kind of like what Will Bird does. Some of these guys that do streams, they just get on and they just do hours and hours. So like I was like freaking like couldn't believe we did 5 hours exposing the Isaac Kappy murder. 5 hours. I guess that's pretty normal for them. And even after that 5 hours, Corey Daniels, Phoenix Enigma, and his wife, they jumped on and we're doing another podcast for hours after that. Holy smokes. That's a lot of podcasting. And that's a lot of streaming. So anyways, Real Alex Jones, Mr. Israel boy himself, very well might be Bill Hicks. Jack Posobiec, who was one of the biggest frauds. Jack is one of the biggest frauds that exist. Him and Laura Loomer are some of the biggest. And then the press secretary, but whatever. But this is General Flynn, totally pimping out, once again, all the Q stuff that makes all the lemmings go crazy. All the Q-tards. And like, I was a little Q-tarded. I am not Q-tarded at all anymore. I have been cured of my sickness. Whatever you want to say. I am not Q-tarded at all anymore. If you are, or people are on my channel, then you're welcome to be here. I'm not going to blast you for having that, because I was into it stuff like crazy. But it has gotten to the point where this is getting so stupid, because one of Anon's arguments, one of the guys that Defango and I broke down his video, his bullcrap coincidences and his tippy top and all that kind of stuff that Trump said to prove that he's Q+. Trump is playing into it. I'm not denying that. Whether or not Trump is using it the way that Neimos, so I think Dustin Neimos says that they are still utilizing it to bring forward the false light, antichrist, whatever it is. I'll be curious to hear his take on that. But that Anon was trying to say, we just bombed 3 of their nuclear sites. And you think that's a good thing? Trump was supposed to bring peace. No more wars. And he hasn't done a damn thing except help. Christine the Strawberry Girl, I have Iranian friends who are happy that they bombed the nuke sites. I've heard that too. Here's the thing. There are evil people in control of all these countries. It's just like here in America. We might be arguably the worst country, because we've been the military that has gone in And not only is Bill Gates poisoned tons of people, giving people, and Fauci giving people, allegedly, or in the conspiracy land, AIDS and diseases and tested vaccines on people all over the world, but we've also bombed people, used drone strikes, murdered people, women, men, women, and children all over the world in the name of the United States of America. Not only have we done that, but Q was supposedly an operation with like 17 freaking countries that were supposed to be like, this was all taken care of. So the fact that even like at this point, there are Iranians saying they are happy that they nuked those sites. Okay, cool. That's good. It's part of the discussion that I can have, and we'll probably have that with Biscuits on Tuesday. Because that is one. But why are these guys still in power? Why was the Taliban allowed to just take over Afghanistan? But anyways, there's a video on IG saying Kappy is CIA and is actually Seth Green. That guy is full of crap. However, I think what we did in the Isaac Kappy mind map, and I thought Corey Daniels, Phoenix Enigma, made a good case that guys like Thomas Schoenberger, and if you don't know him, get into the Fango ones that I did with the Fango and Phoenix Enigma, a.k.a., well, his real name is Corey Daniels. And Kappy got handled by people that were giving him bad intel, because Kappy was big into Q and thinking a lot of this stuff was happening. And it wasn't. And he lost his life for it. Now, the Q people will try to say that he went into witness protection, but he did not look good, no matter what, near, like, closer to the end. It was not good. And he even was up front on his periscopes. But the guy that, I can't remember the name of the dude, I exposed it as well. He's trying to say that he's, did he say he was Seth Green? That's a new one, actually. I think they were saying Kappy was something else. However, some people are saying Kappy is CIA. I'm open to that discussion, but I just think that he was a good, well-meaning guy that got handled by people and taken down a bad road. And he thought that he had a dead man switch that when you talk to a guy like Biscuits, says it's not protection the way that they think it's protection, unless it's like uploaded into the cloud to where no one could like find like a physical copy of it. Like, say people have like a hard drive and they hand it out to various people in secret, hopefully, and have that concealed so that if they were ever taken out, that could be released. Ali kind of has that, but she has a lot of people that have her receipts, allegedly. Ali Carter, that is. But it's not really protection, because they basically can just torture you, find out who you gave it to, and then go find that and then get rid of it. I mean, McAfee was supposed to be one of those that had a dead man switch that was supposed to, unlock all this stuff. But nothing ever came out with him either. So I think what they do is they find out where this crap's at and they squash it. So it's not what they thought it was. And Kappy maybe got a little overconfident that his dead man switch and the information that he had was going to protect him, and it did not. But he got misled, potentially, by a guy like Thomas Schoenberger. Yes, Trump did say that. Maryland, yes, absolutely. Trump said that, and that is what has ignited that. I think they give Trump certain phrases like what he did early on, saying tippy top and things like that. They made him out to be Q plus in the Q movement. And just recently, Trump did say that. I heard it. I could probably track it down if we wanted to watch that, but don't need to. He did say that. I was once the hunted. He says in his first term, he was the hunted, and this term, he is now the hunter. And I think he says those things because it keeps the Q people going. They are literally deep state digital soldiers, in my opinion. They are Flynn's psyop digital soldiers that are continuing to keep the pacification going, because Flynn can distance himself from it all he wants, which is smart, because if you actually are like part of creating a psyop, then you distance yourself from them. A lot of the people that are fighting the Q psyop and still support Flynn makes no sense to me, because it goes all the way back to various characters that were involved at the time. Tracy Beans, tied to Vandersteel, and some of the stuff that was going on. And then after that, Tracy Beans got put onto Little Flower or something like that project, Anyways, digital, and I think digital soldiers. Anyways, yes. But anyways, if you create a psyop, you distance yourself from that psyop. It makes sense publicly, because then people don't associate you with that. But the people that are still big on Flynn, and it's a lot of like ex-military, they can't get over the fact that they were. I guess they had a general or a lieutenant general. It's like it's just that military mind control or something. I don't know. But I need to have a conversation with some of those guys because I like the work they're doing to expose Q, but they are missing a huge portion of it if you don't get into the Flynn stuff. Now, I don't think Flynn was like pivotal to how it started or anything like that. DeFango says he used the Flynn network to blow it up, but I think Flynn just got a hold of it and helped push it. But there's talk about Vallely. Then there's also obviously Jerome Corsley, who's tied to InfoWars, and Alex Jones. There's all kinds of players, and they're missing a lot of that stuff. And I'll be curious to see what Dustin Neimos has to say about this kind of stuff. Anyways, Midnight saying the Swiss bank globalists are trying to strong arm Iran into accepting their central banking system. Iran stands firm in resisting their constant bullying. That's interesting, and Iran is connected to Russia. That's like I don't think like Putin's a good guy or that any of these people are really good guys, but I think you kind of have to be kind of like a bad guy almost in this world in order to run a country. I don't know. I mean, if it makes any sense to you to say something like that, because they're going to do things that are immoral and bad, but they have to because the people against them are going to break every rule, follow no rule. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know what to think about Putin and some of these guys, but Putin and Russia, because I think they're all controlled by Swiss Bank Authority, and it's all theater, like Juxta says. I think it is true, but it's interesting to think that Iran is actually trying to resist the Swiss bank globalists. That's an interesting one. I'd be curious to see what Juxta had to say. Not that he's the ultimate authority, but very well could be taking place midnight. Christine, the Strawberry Girl. So you're convinced Trump is the Antichrist? Israel named Trump their Moshiach, Messiah. I don't know if that's what you meant. I'm leaning towards Barron as AC and Trump. So that's Michelle came in and she thinks Barron will be the Antichrist and maybe Trump. Who knows? So you guys should look forward to the Dustin Neimos one because he's put together a lot of pieces. Now I don't necessarily agree, but I haven't heard him out yet completely, and I haven't been able to obviously ask him my questions. So it'll be interesting. So I think Dustin Neimos doesn't think that DeFango started Q or was as pivotal as what he makes it out to be, and he thinks that they are using it and it still is being implemented, just like what we just had with Trump coming out and saying, I was the hunted and now I'm the hunter, which is a big time Q phrase. I think that he'll argue that they are still using that psyop to bring forward the Antichrist. We'll see. And then the stuff that's going on in Iran and Israel, I think Dustin Neimos will have a lot to say about that. Now, whether I agree with him or not, that'll be interesting. But anybody that comes on my show, I already have mad respect just for them to come on because most people won't. I just got into it with this guy that goes by E511 Ministries, who I had no problem with. But then because I was agreeing with him on Donnie Darkened being a fraud, and I shared with him a video that I did and told him there's stuff in this that other people did, so I'm not whatever. He freaked out and called me a fraud and said that I'm all into the truther stuff. So I got into it with him and I challenged him to come on and have a conversation. And then he admitted to being a coward, in my words, in my terms, the way that I see it. But they just won't have a conversation. Why won't people just have, especially if you're a Christian or you claim to be a Christian. I don't even claim to be a Christian. I hate the term Christian anymore. I'm a sinner, and I believe in Jesus Christ. What he did on the cross, his death, his resurrection. I believe that. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. But why people won't just have a conversation? Like, why will A and on not just have a conversation? I know I come off like kind of crazy, and it drives me nuts sometimes because I get passionate and I still start going ham about some of this Q stuff because I think it's pacifying millions of people that could have been creating organizations to help human trafficking, to expose it. We could get involved at our local levels and actually hold judges accountable more. And we could see what I would see is like us like finding every single judge in your local area and having, you could stay anonymous or whatever you wanted to do, but in that network of people in that local area, you could highlight what they do and the verdicts that they get, because we see the flashy 250 children rescued from human trafficking, and everybody's like, yay, white hats, woo. Even if you don't believe in the white hats, you're like, yay. But what happens after that? Where do those kids go? What do the judges rule against the perpetrators that were the ones that were allegedly, doing the human trafficking and arrested? We could hold them accountable by knowing our judges and seeing how they rule on various cases, especially when it comes to human trafficking and situations like Megan Walsh, who also, I'm going to see if she wants to come on and talk, but she's exhausted, and I've had some good DMs with her. I don't know if she wants to join or not right now, but maybe eventually I'll have her on. But I'm willing to help Megan Walsh as well. But cases like that where children are literally being taken from the rightful parent, that like they're being given to the one that they shouldn't be given to, and I think it's done on purpose, or they're being taken from the parents completely to be put into the foster system, which is so corrupt and disgusting. That's where we need to be holding people accountable. But no, Q is saving the world. And all these people that are supposedly taken out, I guess they're not taken out. It's like, what flavor of Q do you like? Do you like the one where it's more reasonable in the sense that, still a lot of bad guys to take out? Or do you believe that it's all just a show? This bombing in Iran, it wasn't even real. It was just a part of the movie to wake people up that these evil bastards were going to nuke the world. And then maybe they tie it to like Hillary Clinton, if she would have won in 2016. Whatever. Ken is asking, John B. Wells, Caravan to Midnight. I got questions about John B. Wells. I've liked him. I'm not saying negative on him, but I am leaning more towards the I don't trust him. He was actually on the Patriot soapbox early on and helped a lot of that stuff. However, he's also been more willing to come out against Flynn. He has questionable people on, but I don't think that's a problem. I will have questionable people on because I want to ask them questions. And I don't know, you learn things that way. I have questions about John B. Wells, but I also can't watch enough of his stuff because it's a radio show and it goes on for hours. I can't watch that stuff. Yes, I'm live, Jody. Welcome. Robert Whiteside, poppycock, a whole lot of poppycock, counterintelligence. But yes, Jody, welcome, and yes, I am live right now. I just decided to say hi on a Sunday morning. I think I drank all my coffee in this mug. There was just a little bit left. I got it now. I was having some coffee. I'm announcing some things for those that just came in. I am in communications. Let me check and see if he's nope. No new communication from Dustin Neimos, but he said 6 p.m. Eastern time, okay, on Monday, tomorrow. So I'm hoping to do a recording with Dustin Neimos tomorrow. I'll do it live if he wants to do it live, but I haven't asked him, and I don't know if he's going to do that. I don't think he's against doing lives. It was just we haven't even talked yet. So I don't know if it'd be good to just do a live. But I'm open to do whatever. I don't give a crap. I just like to wing it. Juxtaposition does not like to wing it. I love winging it. I think it's real. But anyways. And then I got to get caught up on Juxta's new project that I didn't really know that he was going to do. But it is what it is. And we're going to make it awesome just because that's how we do. We do what we do because I can flow. I don't know why, but I'm able to adapt like that. People used to call me the chameleon because I could be around any group of people and find a way to fit in. I could be with the jocks. I could be with the stoners. I could be with the, whatever crowd, whatever group, and I could fit in because I partially because of my anxiety, and I don't want to have confrontation so much. But part of it is just because like I can find where areas that I agree with all these different groups of people and stuff like that. However, we didn't have a lot of I mean, we didn't have a gay crowd. We didn't have the LGBTQ at that time. We didn't have like Antifa and BLM. So I can't imagine what it would be like today. Flynn is not General Flynn, according to Robert Whiteside. I disagree, but I know what you're talking about. All these people have been replaced. I mean, it's possible that like there are clones, and like this more recent video that I did with the Chris Clutch stuff. It made me think of cloning is potentially a different thing too. It's like if you have a person that's given their life to this, in my opinion, satanic elite, or maybe they've been forced into it. I don't know, and they have a similar body structure to say, like even like a person like Trump, and they do some plastic surgery to make them look kind of like Trump. What's to say that they aren't able now? Because I feel like that's where things are going. Aren't able to take the digital twin that's probably been manipulated by the AI, but is from the original genetic Donald Trump, if there even is a genetic original now living today in the flesh. Take that digital twin and download it into the actual mind consciousness, however it works, body, cellular level of this other person. And that could be how they do the cloning of some of these guys. I don't know. There's so many things to discuss in that kind of stuff. But Juxta, I don't think he doesn't know what they have in the capabilities of cloning when it comes to the military, I think is what, when I asked him that question. He didn't deny it. He did, but he also didn't want to talk about it because if you don't know something in Juxta's world, you just don't go and make up stuff on top of it because then you're just feeding the COINTEL pro because you don't know. Anyways, I love the conversation of cloning, Robert. So I'll have that all day, any day. But I don't know if at this point, after I talk to Gray Area Monarch, not that I'm saying that he knows all things, and there's people that have problems with Gray. I like Gray. He's been upfront with me, and anytime there's been any questions, he's like, just come to me and we'll talk about it. I appreciate that with anybody. I don't take people's word for a whole lot of things. So a lot of people have issues with Gray. I like Gray, but he said basically this Flynn is so MK Ultra. Like, why would they need to replace him? Why would they need to replace him with anybody? Because he is under their control, like completely. And he saw that allegedly. Gray saw Flynn under mind control with Stanley McChrystal, and he basically was like a silent dog being given instructions, and he was going to carry out every single one of them. It's crazy. Ugh. And Ken Roman, that's some of the arguments. So there's the argument that Antichrist is a group of people, but I think I agree with Ken Roman here, where he's saying there is only one man of sin. I think the Antichrist is one person. Now, there's an Antichrist maybe system, you could say, or you would say it's the beast system, but I think that there really is one man of sin, and it's my understanding that Dustin Neimos believes that it is Trump, and I think Sir Escanor also believes that it is Trump. I don't know if that makes any sense though, because he's so hated by at least, I don't know if you'd say half the world or 40% of the world, but he really is loved by a lot of people. And he can get away with basically everything. Maybe. Michelle, do you think the video from Virginia Giuffre, Epstein victim that dropped after her death, is real or AI? That whole thing was weird because she claimed to get hit by that bus and that she was like dying of kidney failure or whatever it was, and she had 4 days to live, and then it was like, oops, I didn't mean to send that out publicly, and then she actually does die. Now, I don't know, but I never really trusted the Virginia Giuffre thing. Like, she obviously was a part of it. There's that picture of her, I think, with Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell. She was definitely involved, but I think she was still under maybe mind control and being used because some of these that they brought forward and put it in the news were like overshadowing a lot of the other victims. And a lot of the other victims were upset because they were misrepresenting them and also trying to get a lot of money from the estate. So it's very complicated. Anyways, I don't know, but I tend to think because of what was going on there that Virginia Giuffre, and this is just my take, and it's a complete conspiracy, she might very well be dead. I think she's still alive. I don't know though. I just think that they took her off the board, if you will. She messed up, or it was time to remove her from the scenario because that whole bus thing was very weird and it was all fake, and people saw that, and she was really ruining a lot of that reputation. However, I don't deny that she's been abused. A lot of these people have been abused, but they are still under mind control. I think Kathy O'Brien has been severely abused all of her freaking life. And I think, but she's still under mind control and being used now in the truther movement. It's sad. It's so sad. Michelle says she's leaning AI too. The breeding programs. I believe that there's breeding programs. I believe there's a lot of stuff that comes to the breeding programs. Not only are they breeding individuals for, there's a whole lot of stuff that comes to that would be just a huge discussion. Those are the ones that I like to have, the Booma Gratitude Zumas. Juxtaposition kind of ran the last one, and then the next one we have, I want to get into some of these topics. The breeding programs, for a lot of various purposes, they create basically humans that they can just torture and then extract, all this, I don't know, adrenochrome and all the various things like that. Now, some people don't think that, they think that adrenochrome isn't real. I think there's something to it. Or like Biscuits and I were saying, they use the blood because there are some people that I don't know if it's a genetic thing or whatnot. They are like literally vampires and they need the blood. Now, whether it's like adrenochrome style or not, I don't know. But they like need this freaking blood. They could put drugs in it, LSD, crack, cocaine, whatever they wanted to put in this blood, and it would change it completely. But I definitely think that there is breeding programs going on for a lot of different purposes. Breeding programs. So there's a lot of different breeding programs, but there's breeding programs to create like what they call Project Mannequin. And so an example of that, whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. This is part of the discussion. But Project Mannequin is argued to be like a celebrity like Ryan Gosling was Project Mannequin with Max Spears. So Max Spears, he didn't like the super soldier term, but he was kind of roped in with the super soldier kind of people at one point. He was arguably murdered for some stuff that he was exposing. Some say he died of an overdose of drugs too, but it's very strange. Anyways, and some people would probably claim that he was COINTELPRO. Maybe he's still alive and yada, yada, yada. This freaking stuff so deep. But the argument in the breeding program with the celebrities is that they have Project Mannequin. So they have multiple people. They don't look completely identical, but they come from the same, some kind of, same kind of a mold, if you will, and are used for various purposes. Now, if you watch Ryan Gosling's movie, Gray Man, that one is supposedly a story about Max Spears' life. Max Spears actually was supposed to become just like Ryan Gosling into an actor and would be an actor / assassin. Gray Man is a clandestine assassin program, if I'm saying that correctly, that Ryan Gosling plays the role of what Max Spears was doing at a time and then got out of that life, or that was the intention of a guy like Max Spears for the breeding program to create these assassins. Kind of like maybe a Nathan Reynolds or even maybe a Gray, but more so from what I understand of Nathan Reynolds' testimony, which is just crazy. And he claims to have murdered people and been part of these clandestine groups. Gray will tell you that they brainwash you by making you feel like you're actually taking out pedophiles. And they've all been sexually abused, so they hate pedophiles, even though the people that are kind of like controlling them, it's mind control is a motherfucker. But Nathan Reynolds going through these programs, and I don't know if he would necessarily have been a part of the breeding program like Ken's talking about because he was just a bloodline family, but they have these breeding programs for celebrities, for their just all the people they put into society that aren't even known. Like they have infiltrated every aspect of society, your churches, your all your political organizations, and all that with these people that have literally been groomed from these breeding programs to be put into all of society to therefore be sleepers in every aspect of our life, all the way down to small towns. But the breeding program, that could be a lot of things. Oh, the one thing that I forgot. So I'm going to be having exposing corruption. So a gentleman that you'll see every once in a while, like in my comment section, maybe in the lives, he's had his own channel. He's got his story of Freemasonry and what they've done to him. I am going to be doing shows with him as well. I finally talked to him on the phone. Me and him have been at odds. I think we both are kind of like the same kind of character. We get triggered and we say some things and we get pissed off sometimes and we lose our shit. But we talked on the phone yesterday and it was overall good. I'm going to give him some time to put his stuff together the way that he wants it, to tell his story of what he experienced, and we're going to expose some Freemasonry. And Christine, the strawberry girl, just reminded me that because she says, if you believe what a Freemason translated, go ahead. I'm taking in all input possible before I say okay. I'll submit to Freemason's interpretation of the Holy Word. You guys must be having a conversation that comes from. But you just reminded me that was the other thing that I forgot, is that exposing corruption will be coming on the show, and I will be interviewing him, and he knows a lot about Freemasonry and how they've operated not only in his life, but he learned a lot because he was put into a prison cell. And I'm just going to give you a little taste. This is your prelude into having exposing corruption on. But this gentleman was in a cell with a high-end Freemason that told him a lot of how they operate. I don't know why they did that, but we'll find out. I'll ask him the questions. But this guy told him a ton about Freemasonry, and so he's explaining, or he's going to expose a bunch of stuff on it. So those should be really, really interesting shows. Yeah, Megan Walsh. I've been communicating with her a lot in DMs, but she says Megan Walsh right now is basically in survival mode, trying to make money to afford her rent, like trying to just get by and still keep a safe space so that if she ever could get back her kids, like bring them into a nice home. So I support Megan Walsh, and I just can't believe that one alone is not picked up by anybody in the truther movement or even these Q people, and they just don't see that one. They just no, it doesn't exist. It's not real. She's just part of the movie. I had some people say, no, man, she's in survival mode and she's just trying to make ends meet and keep her home. Anyways, Christina Strawberry Girl, Virginia is AI for sure. That is Virginia Giuffre. Gosh, man, Robert Whiteside, yeah. I was actually surprised the SGT report actually had Nathan Reynolds on and was allowing him to say the things that he said. X22, if you just look at his logo, it's a 322, it's skull and bones, and he's phony. If you go back years ago and listen to a episode and then listen to one modern day, it starts all out the same way. It's programming. It's like it's literal programming. Hi, and welcome to the X22 report. My name is Dave. This is episode 1,500,000 of all. It's like you're a clone, bro. You're something's wrong with you. And then and we know he's going on his second cruise. I think they either just had the second cruise or it's coming up in July. I think it's coming up in July. It'll be the Alaskan cruise now and we know. The dude's having cruises. We haven't saved the world yet. The children aren't saved. And then he posts a link to his son's bowling bros YouTube channel so you can see his sons, but the fool hasn't even shown himself. He's a complete fraud too. And whoever's running his X account, it's not him. He's got like a whole team. Because I'll go in there and talk smack, and they just ignore you. They don't block you. They don't say nothing. I think it's like automatic or something. It's not even like a real person running it. It's just a whole social media team that does this stuff, and he is making millions. And I could probably get into more of that conversation with exposing corruption because he was there also when the Q stuff was going on. He got big into 107. He got big into Q, so he's like me that fell for a lot of this stuff. And he was there when Phil McConnell was involved, and I wasn't there at that time. I was not involved with Q at that time, and so he would be able to do like the Able Danger, Phil McConnell, when I think 107 was. Well, that's when Phil McConnell was introducing 107 as JFK Jr. and Juan didn't correct him. So we could have some of those conversations too with him, which should be good. Um, yeah, Jody, I can adapt to about anything. I can if somebody wants to talk about any topic, I'm like a master of none. I've mastered nothing, but I can have a conversation on almost anything to some degree. Or if I don't know, I'm willing to say I don't know. Or I'm willing to just tell you what I've experienced and been exposed to about something, and then let you decide where you stand on things, because I don't try not to judge because I fell for a lot of this stuff. So I'll give you experiences like the whole Mannequin project with Ryan, um, the celebrity dude or whatever. Why am I blanking on his name? I almost said Ryan Reynolds, but it's Ryan Gosling and Max Spears. Project Mannequin. Don't know if that's true, but that's what the claim is out there. Some stuff like that. I don't know if it's true. The cloning stuff. Robert Whiteside. Yes, clones. There are. I would imagine they've got it down to cloning. I just it when I think of God and I think about what kind of protections God would put into the genetics so that it wouldn't be possible for them to make identical clones. That's what I wonder. But a look-alike, I mean, you can look at families. There's certain families that I grew up with where all their kids look exactly like puppies. Like they came exactly from the parents. And then those kids have kids. And it's like their genetics are so strong that they always have this similar look. So, of course, why wouldn't they be able to do that? But the consciousness would be different on a lot of these clones, is what I would think. However, when you bring in the digital twin aspect of things to be implemented and downloaded into or utilized to guide the consciousness of somebody, like some of these people that have just become they've given their physical being to this project or been forcefully given their thing, and they just get their mind wiped, or they don't really have a backstory, and then you download someone's digital twin into them and then use it to like run them like Sims, like Sabrina Wallace talks about. Whew, there's some interesting conversations to have with Sabrina. And so hopefully I haven't checked my Telegram, but hopefully we're going to have a conversation today and get that all set up and try to give people a heads up ahead of time, is what my hope is with her, is that we can give a date ahead of time so people can plan for the Sabrina Wallace Q&A, live Q&A. That's my hope, but we'll see. I'll do whatever they want to do. Michelle says, have to do chores, but I'll be listening. Appreciate you in this space. Yes, and a lot of what I try to do is just have a space where we can have all these conversations. That's why I love just doing lives, even though sometimes I get really nervous. Sometimes you guys are in here, and you can just have these conversations that you maybe can't have on any of the other ones, because so many of these Patriot channels and Q channels and whatnot, it's like if you're not in with Q and the programming, they're gonna throw you out. They're gonna block you. They're not gonna entertain these kinds of questions. I'm willing to entertain all this stuff, man. Yeah, sometimes Substack has some issues too, Christine, the Strawberry Girl. But it could be your internet too. Velvet, the Donald Marshall stuff. I got huge into the Donald Marshall stuff, and now I lean towards him being a semi-fraud. Like I think he is COINTELPRO, if you want to say that. Not that he's not share. They all share certain amounts of truth, but I don't believe that he wrote all the music for like a lot of these stars, like he claims, and all that kind of stuff. I think there's aspects of that that are not true, and he's still out there. But at the same time, about Donald Marshall, here's what I'll say: he must be getting paid without it being public to do what he's doing. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense because he's not grifting, like in the sense of like he's not selling anything. He's never like even giving out donation links or anything like that. He's just telling what he believes the story is or whatnot. So who knows? He could be under complete mind control, or he could be paid behind the scenes by the evil rulers. I don't know, but he'd be another one. Like he should do more. I haven't seen him do an interview for years and years. I think that it would be nice if he would start doing interviews again, and then people can ask him certain questions. But he also has been calling out how all of them were frauds, and it's starting to look more and more like that's the case, and Trump included in that. We'll see. Max Spears and James Casbolt were friends. Yep, and then Michael Prince. Wait, was James Michael Prince? His real name was something else, or maybe that was his real name and he went by something else. I get some of them mixed up, but I love talking about all those guys, and I wouldn't mind. I just don't have the time. I want to get into it, but I also think it could just be a little bit waste of a time right now because we need to be talking about the biodigital convergence. Soul transfer, yep. Template live soul transfer. That's a good conversation to be had. 2 weeks to flatten the curve, grifters. Awk used to be my go-to, and I loved And We Know too, man. Haven't listened for 2 years now. Awk, he's a fraud. And that's what I found, man. And he might be one of the biggest grifters out of all. If we knew how much money he was actually making, I don't know if it would be Phil Godleski money, but he's got to be like making tens of millions. I mean, who else is doing freaking cruises? You know how much a cruise costs to put together and run with the gasoline, the staff, the food? Holy smokes! And he's had 2 of them now. Whew. This has been awesome coffee shop talk, you guys. And this is what I love. I love just interacting with all you guys and talking about it. Derek, why clone if you can just body snatch? Too much work. And that's another thing. So I got into it with, I didn't really get into it, but I was talking with somebody that believes that everybody's inverted. Like everybody on the world stage is inverted. And for me, like when I really started breaking down like the UFC fighters, I just don't see how it would be true. You would benefit way more to have a lot of males and then using hormones and stuff like that because of their bone structure, because it would make for better fights. So I don't agree that they're all inverted, and that's just one example. When it comes to celebrities, you know, like you got Conor McGregor and you got these ones that are that go beyond just the sport itself, because some people don't know anything about the UFC and some of these things, but it goes to boxing, it goes to some of this stuff. But any kind of celebrity, you know, I don't think so. And I think that there's it's so much homosexuality and a male domination with the elites that they like having the males, and most of them are homos, like we learn in the Boule. A lot of the rappers, they're not inverted, they are just homos, and they act like they're not. They act like they're tough, and they act like they're pimping and getting all these ladies when they're actually homosexuals. So anyways, I was saying that because it's like some of this stuff, it would cost so much money to invert that many people, because you got a whole program where you'd have to have so much hormones, so much resources in order to change them, surgeries, various things that you would have to do. Now, there is a lot of them, don't get me wrong, but just think about how much this goes into it. And I guess when you get to the Swiss Bank Authority and the highest forms of money, that currency really doesn't matter. But it would take so much resources. Where are they getting all the resources to do the chemtrailing and constant poisoning of not just our air, but our food and our water and our medicine? Where do they get all the resources to do the hormones and the plastic surgeries and all that kind of stuff for inverting every single person on the world stage? Like, you got to think about it with logistics too. So what Derek's saying here, why not just body snatch? That's a good point, because if you're going to clone a whole bunch of different clones, say you have like 12, 15 clones of one person, why not just body snatch? Or why not just take a person that kind of looks like that person and do plastic surgery and then download the digital clone into them? Kind of an idea. If you go to Las Vegas, you will see hundreds of guys, or whatever they are, even women, that look like Michael Jackson. They could pass as Michael Jackson. It's not hard to find doppelgangers. Yes, the streaming on Substack's always choppy. It's in its beta phase. I can't believe it's been in the beta phase this long. They really need to upgrade this. Hopefully, you guys that are having issues can go back and watch it once I get it updated. We're gonna bring her here to a close. How long? I don't even know how long we've been going. About an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, this is one of the longer coffee shop talks that I've ever done. But we're having good conversation in here. I'm too poor to pay attention. I love that, Robert. Punished Biscuits, you joined late, bro. Where you been? We're gonna have to close her up here in a little bit, but we've gotten into cloning, we've gotten into Project Mannequin, at least I have. We talked a little bit about Iran, the Trump situation, Q, who I'm gonna have on. Once again, maybe tomorrow I'm gonna be doing it with Dustin Neimos, and then we'll have Biscuits on Tuesday. Sabrina Wallace Q&A, live Q&A coming up. I'm gonna be having Exposing Corruption on, who's gonna talk a lot about Freemasonry and tell his story. And then I'm doing a project right now where I got to watch a couple videos and get caught up on what I'm going to do with juxtaposition. So I got all that stuff coming on. So, yeah, I've been sleeping a little bit later too, bro. I totally get it. But let's go ahead. Yes, a lot. It's going to be a busy week for me. And every once in a while I'll go a few days I don't have any content. But this week should be a huge and a busy week. And just to wrap her up here, let's make sure that we get a little music rolling. But yes, lots coming up this week. We had some great discussion here in this coffee shop talk. If you didn't catch all of it, you might want to go back, give her a listen on the replay, because man, you guys were on fire in I think everybody was pepped up on their caffeine, drinking their coffee, and I had a lot to talk about in a lot of different areas, which is what I like to do. I don't like to just focus all on one thing. I really am getting sick of talking about politics. I know it's important with where the world's going, but like I said, biodigital convergence, cloning, Project Mannequin, breeding programs, you got all of that, all in this one. And you got my kitten story that I'm still going to go out now after this and see if I can find that kitten and see if I can reunite it with its family, because it just makes me so sad. Anyways, look forward to this week. Lots of great content coming. I appreciate you all. This was Coffee Shop Talk number, I think, 28, live June 22nd, 2025. And God bless you all. And I look forward to catching you, as always, on the next one. Peace.